Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Alright, as you can tell, I'm going to be sharing with you my labor and delivery story. I have had my little bundle of joy and I'm absolutely obsessed with him. If you're new to my channel, I actually have two older boys. I have a 14-year-old and an 8-year-old, so this isn't new to me, but it does feel quite new after 8 years. But basically I wanted to share with you all my experience, especially having a baby during a pandemic with COVID-19. All right, so with my pregnancy, if you've been following me for a while, you're already aware that I did have fibroids. I also had 2 miscarriages prior to this successful pregnancy. So this is a rainbow baby. Due to my fibroids, I actually wasn't quite sure, my doctor wasn't quite sure if I would end up having to have a cesarean section because the fibroids grew. There was one that was blocking the birth canal and they just weren't quite sure if the baby would be able to get past it in order to get out. And so there was a question of whether or not it would be able to deliver vaginally like I had prior with my first 2 boys. So the doctor did say that we would decide further down the line towards the end of the 3rd trimester to see if everything would work out so I could deliver vaginally. All right, so what we did is we scheduled an induction for a week before my due date because we also wanted to prevent him from getting much bigger, so that would cause more of a problem with the vaginal delivery, which is what I really wanted. I didn't want to get a cesarean section. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with them, but I do understand that the healing process after the delivery is much harder than when you deliver vaginally. So I kind of, with already having children at home and having a brand new baby, it's just a lot, to kind of have going on. So I didn't want to risk having to have a cesarean section, so we did go ahead and schedule the induction for a week before my due date. Before I actually went to the hospital for my delivery, I want to say about a month before, or at least about 3 weeks before, we had already had our COVID-19 test. Our community was doing kind of a drive up, and we did our COVID-19 test there as a family, and everyone came back negative. When I arrived at the hospital where myself and my fiance were allowed to go, I actually wanted my mom and my sister to also be there with me, but because of COVID-19 they weren't allowing extra guests. So it's just myself and my fiance there, and so when we first walked into the hospital, it was very deserted. Like, I'm used to seeing an emergency room with at least like 3 to 5 people in it, but there was literally no one there. But before we could enter, they actually took our temperatures, and then they kind of like sent us right upstairs to the labor and delivery. You're not allowed to just go into labor and delivery. They kind of like clear you first before you go in. And then when I got to the room, it was just pretty normal. We had our masks on when we arrived at the hospital, and we kept our masks on until we got to the room. Once we got to the room, we only put them on when a doctor or nurse would come in. So we kind of were free to just walk around without our masks. Like I said, no testing there, and not even that they knew that we didn't have it, but it was, basically just assumed, I guess, that we didn't have it. They did ask for people when they did have symptoms from COVID-19, or symptoms of COVID-19, that they would mention it so that they were aware, and I think that would probably prompt them to test you. But we didn't have any symptoms or anything like that, so that wasn't necessary for us. As far as our stay there, we wanted to get out, and you can leave in 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours depending on your case. I know previously when I've given birth in hospitals, you have 48 hours there if you deliver vaginally. So of course I'm like, oh, I get to leave in 24 hours. Okay, I will leave in 24 hours. That didn't really happen. But anyway, so as far as moving around the hospital freely, we were allowed to walk around. He was able to go to they had a fridge there for like food, so if you were hungry, and I couldn't eat anything before, of course, but if he was hungry, or at any point that I was hungry, he could go to this fridge and get all the different items that they had there, like fruit, sandwiches, that kind of stuff, just easy grab stuff. But our experience was actually not too far from what it's like before COVID-19, aside from my family not being able to attend as I wanted them to, because I definitely wanted my mom and sister there, but I just didn't have the freedom to do that. So aside from that, it was pretty much similar to the experience before. We went in the night before the scheduled induction. Earlier in that day, I had my last appointment and I was measuring 1 centimeter dilated. So when I made it to the hospital for the induction that night, I was still 1 centimeter. So they ended up giving me medicine to thin out my cervix and kind of like move the process along. I want to say after about 3 hours, that's when I was given the Pitocin, because they noticed that I only progressed to about 2 centimeters dilated. I think it was 2 or 3 centimeters dilated. And I did take notes, you guys, because I don't remember all the details because like I said, it's been 8 weeks now. So yeah, you kind of forget things fast. A lot has happened. So yeah, so I want to say I was about 2 or 3 centimeters dilated at that point, and so they started the Pitocin. I think at about 5 or 6-ish in the morning is when the pain really started to pick up, and I was like, okay, but it wasn't like unbearable, but I wanted to make sure that the anesthesiologist wasn't like booked up. So I was like, yes, I do my epidural, like make sure that, they know I'm on the list for the epidural. So, I want to get it before it gets too bad, So I want to say about an hour after that, he came in to give me the epidural. At this point, it was very, very painful. In the past, when I've gotten the epidural with my 2 older boys, I literally felt nothing. I felt nothing from the waist down. I didn't feel contractions. I didn't feel pressure. The only thing I felt was when I was actually delivering, and you feel the ring of fire. If you've had any babies, you know what I'm talking about. You feel the ring of fire. That's all I felt. So after he gave me the epidural and I still felt my contractions, I still felt the pressure, I felt everything. I was like, what did he do wrong? I think he did something wrong, because I feel this. I feel all of this. So anyways, I felt all the pain, not all of it, but I felt a decent amount of it for me, which wasn't the worst thing because this is my last pregnancy. So I kind of felt like, kind of go out with having to experience the real thing, or at least some aspect of it was kind of nice. So anyways, after the fact, it was nice. During, it was awful. Anyways, at this point, I want to say after I got the epidural, it felt like it was about 45 minutes and then I was, delivering. But it wasn't. It was actually a few hours. So before I knew it, I could feel the pressure of my baby. Like I was like, okay, I think he's coming right now. Like he's coming right now. I can feel a lot of pressure. I wasn't saying it this way. It was in between like contractions, and I could still feel the contractions. So it was it was different, but that's basically what I was saying. And the nurses started to check me, and I was at 10 centimeters. And so then they sent another one to call my doctor, because my doctor wasn't at the hospital yet. And then she came back and she said, okay, your doctor's on the way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's on the way. I felt the pressure, like, you don't understand, he's coming out right now. I don't think I can wait. And then finally my fiance is just like, listen, I don't care, you probably need to use whatever doctor is here, because the baby is coming. And they look and they're like, of course he is coming. Okay, so then they call the doctor that was there, and he came in, and I want to say like in 3 pushes he was out. And like, oh my gosh, it was just so amazing. I'll see if I can put a little bit of footage of him. Yeah, so I delivered him. He was born at 10 a.m. on the dot. He is absolutely everything that I could ever imagine. My family has seen pictures of him, or saw a video of him. My aunt did, and she said I keep having the same baby over and over again. I thought he might wake up so I can add him on her, but if he doesn't, I'll just make sure I record a little bit of him, and I'll just add a clip in at the end. But he's absolutely amazing. He was 7 pounds, 6 ounces, 20.5 inches long. And he did cry, and then I remember asking my fiance to make sure he recorded some of the delivery, and luckily he did get him like right after, when he was under the heating lamp, and he just looked so like, what is happening? And he was so pale and just the most adorable thing. And I'm just so blessed, and I'm so thankful, and I just hope that this is a little bit of encouragement for people who have experienced losses, because I honestly didn't even think that this would be able to happen for me. And I could not be happier. I could not be happier. He's absolutely amazing, and he's already changed so much. I'm like shocked every day. I look at him and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you look different than you did yesterday. Like, what is happening? This is all so fast. Like, everything's happening so fast. Unfortunately, he did have jaundice for a little bit, so but he didn't have to sit under like a crazy lamp or anything at home or anything like that. But he definitely, we had to formula feed him as well as breastfeed him, and so I've continued to do that. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, little intermission there. I actually had a lot going on in that what seemed very brief on this end. But basically, yes, he did have jaundice, and it went away after, I want to say after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, it was gone. But we did have to formula feed him because I just wasn't producing that much. So I continued to formula feed and breastfeed. He gets both. And yeah, it's been great. The family is, you know, now complete. And yeah, there's really nothing else to share. I'm going to see, he was just fussing a little bit ago. So I'm going to see if he's up for a little video. Be right back.
You want to be in the video?
All right, so this is Elon Noir. He is really squirmy. He's like a little worm, but he literally does not sit still. He was just in his swing and he just woke up. So we might be able to say hi. Say hi. Say hi, man. Say hi, little baby. He's already trying to stand up. Look, now he's standing on his own feet right now. Look, say hi. Can't control that head though. Yeah, he's changing every single day. And now look at him, he's saying hello. Say hi. You know, he's probably trying to poop. Does a lot of that. Anyways, I just wanted to share with you guys my labor and delivery story. I'm gonna get this little guy fed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.